It's Monday, October 5th, 2020. I'm out here in Palm Desert, California, right off El Paseo with my good friend, Dr. Anthony. Before we start the video with Dr. Anthony this evening, I want to remind all of you to come over to my Patreon channel. Dr. Anthony and myself were out doing some training yesterday. It was his first day out training at the range. So we took some video of that and we got some perspective on optimizing your body. It's a great video. Come over to Patreon, check it out. If you don't know how to get to Patreon, go to my website, link down below, jeremiahbabe.com. Go to that link and you'll find my Patreon link on my website. Check it out, great video. But right now, as we're down here on this balmy October 5th on El Paseo here in Palm Desert, California with Dr. Anthony, I want to talk about, with Dr. Anthony, what the heck is going on. Stock market up, Dow Jones up 465 points today. But as we were walking just a few blocks before we got to this location, a huge number of vacancies. You know, I've shot many videos down here, vacancies all over the place. Your office is right here and thank God you're doing really, really well. But I look around and I see more vacancies than ever. Stock market's doing incredible. The wealthy, the 1% are laughing all the way to the bank. What's your perspective on what is happening?
As they continue to keep printing more money and the Fed is buying the market, what's happening is the middle class is being left out. So the average person is waiting for a check to come. The average person has a little money stuffed under their mattress,
which they might have already had to use.
Yeah.
We got no answer on the stimulus today, and so people are continuing to wait. And if that stimulus doesn't show up this year, how are people going to Christmas shop? How are people going to make the rent? How are people going to pay the food bills, the car payments, all that? Now, your business is doing really well right here. You're here on El Paseo, and you've been here for 10 years, and you're doing really, really well. And I think a lot of that is because people, if they're in pain, if you don't know, he's a fantastic chiropractor. And if you're in pain, you'll pay whatever you have to get out of pain, as opposed to maybe going, paying your gym membership or going out to dinner or shopping. But if I'm hurting really bad, I'm gonna maybe not put off going out to dinner or shopping to come see you.
Actually, my whole model makes it easy for people to afford. It's very convenient and easy. What I want to do is not try to get the most dollars out of people, but instead have a retention. So we have a relationship, and that's the only reason why I believe we're still here.
Yeah, I mean, you're really passionate about what you do, and people know that, and that is why you're here. I was at my gym today talking about local business. At my gym today, I did a video on this. They stole 3 commercial air conditioning units off the top of the building and then 3 more at the neighboring building. And I was at the gym and the owner told me today, or one of the owners, that a lot of the members are canceling. And he said that probably about 30% are canceling in fear of the infection, but 70% are canceling because of financial hardship, people losing jobs, wage cuts, hourly cuts. People just don't have the money to keep up with the gym memberships and they're canceling. And so he's really seeing some bad times at the gym, being shut down for 5 months and then reopening and all these people canceling. Where do you see this economy right now, being a small business owner?
You can tell, like the other businesses, we have some barber shops, we have a nail lady, we have a small diner. Like everything is still there on my side, but we're in the low rent side of this little area.
Mm-hmm. Now, what about the high rent where we're standing?
They're like a bloodbath over here.
Yeah, I would say there's got to be a 25% vacancy rate here. And this is referred to as the Rodeo Drive of the desert. 1 mile from where we're standing is one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in Southern California. Some of the wealthiest people in the country have homes out here. And when you see this high-end luxury area just getting clobbered, it is a bloodbath. And it doesn't look like it's going to get better anytime soon. But Dow Jones up 465 points today.
So all that's happening is people who have money in the market are able to keep making more money. And They're only doing it because the printing of money, the Fed is buying the market. It's not the market itself actually going up.
Right. But it's weird because the rich don't seem to be shopping as much down here. If they were shopping, these stores would all be open, and yet we're seeing vacancy after vacancy after vacancy. Stores that have had long histories here are now closed up for good, and that means more unemployment.
So if you really want your Gucci purse, if you really want to go to Tiffany's, they're not going to the brick and mortar, they're going to get it online. Like,
Right, and that's a huge problem. But there's just certain things, in my opinion, that you don't buy online. That you got to physically go see, touch, and it just seems like maybe the wealthy are they're making a lot of money, but maybe they're just holding back a bit with all this uncertainty in the world. They know that we're sitting on the biggest bubble in human history in these markets, and I think a lot of people are just sitting back because they know that the massive sales are very near. And I want to talk about your silver stacking, your gold stacking, Bitcoin. You're into Bitcoin, silver, gold, and cash like I am. I'm not in Bitcoin, but you are. Now, give us your thoughts on Bitcoin, the benefits that you see in Bitcoin, why you're in Bitcoin.
it's a lot of the same benefits that we have with our stacking the precious metals. So we like it because it's durable, it'll last. Even if we bury it in the ground somewhere and get it one day, it'll still be there, it'll still be worth at least the same amount. It's going to be something that's appreciating over time. It's easily divisible. There's so many things that are the same between Bitcoin and gold and silver.
Now, I don't mean to criticize or judge Bitcoin. I think diversification is key right now. I believe you need to be looking at other assets other than the US dollar. I think that you need to be doing everything you can to get out of the system, detached from the system. The more detached you are from the system, maybe that's cryptos, gold, silver. Maybe it's holding your cash in a safe place, not at a bank. Maybe it's other assets. Maybe it's art. Maybe it's land, farms, whatever. I think right now there's never been a more important time to be detaching and getting out of these financial systems as there has ever been a time as of right now to get out and detach, because this system can shut you down in the blink of an eye. One press of a button, it's over. You cannot get your money. If the bank's shut down, you're not going to your ATM. You're not going to the bank. We went to a bank today, Bank of America, to make a quick stop. They're closed till October 12th. Sorry, temporarily closed till October 12th. So I can't go into that bank, do any type of business, right? What happens when the ATMs shut down? Now that brings me to my question of cryptos. If the system goes down, there's a cyber attack, if there's a EMP, if there's some kind of nefarious event where the power goes down, how do I transact with Bitcoin?
That would truly be an issue, but that's also why we have the offline or cold storage, as they call it. So you want to make sure that you're using a Trezor or Nano S or some way of taking the Bitcoin out of the cloud and having it on your own personal storage.
Now, how am I going to transact with the average Joe Blow? I want to buy his car. I want to buy, the 2 acres of property he has. Am I going to be able to do that?
No.
This is why I like the benefit of having a hard asset in my hands like gold, like silver, because the world recognizes gold and silver as real money, as God's money, 5,000-year history. It's never been worth zero, and it's never going to be worth zero. And a lot of people go, well, it doesn't earn interest. Well, your dollar right now isn't earning interest either. In fact, you're losing money. It is negative right now. You put $5,000 in an account at the bank right now. Next year, that $5,000 isn't going to be there. With all the service charges, with inflation, you are negative. And so gold isn't going to do that. Gold has been keeping up with inflation, will continue to keep up with inflation. And again, I'm not knocking cryptos. I think that diversification and other options outside the dollar are so important. But I think that cryptos can be limited. And when I look at central banks stockpiling massive amounts of gold, that's telling me something. I see Ray Dalio, Eric Sprott, Warren Buffett, all in this massive amount of gold. That is telling me something. And I think this is a time where we really have to be our own central bank. We have to stop doing what they tell us and start doing what they're doing. They're protecting themselves. They're hedging a bet against this inflation, against the US dollar, and we need to be doing the same thing. But I believe that there's going to be very nice upswings in crypto. So again, I'm not knocking them, judging them. Who knows? Maybe in the future I'll buy some. But right now, when I see silver as cheap as it is, and you stack silver, why?
I like silver because it's easy to acquire. I forget how many ounces per 1 ounce of gold that I would also buy. I like the silver because there's obviously industrial uses. So even if it came down to a point of total Mad Max, like collapse of society, the silver will actually still have a productive use.
Now, I want to make another point about where we should all be storing our silver and our gold. You know, we all own gold and silver because we do not trust the system. So the last place you want to put your gold, your silver, even your cash is back into the system. Do not keep your solid assets in the bank. Do not keep too much cash in the banks. You need to have these assets, cash, gold, silver, what have you, out of the system. You need to have it in areas that you can access it in a time of emergency, that you can get to it quickly. A lot of people believe that putting it in other countries is safe. But if Mike Pinto said this, well, I watched a video of his today. If I have to call Hong Kong for my gold or my silver, what happens if China just took over Hong Kong and just says, now everything is ours? All your gold and silver in Hong Kong is now property of China. Good luck. And that goes for any country that you put it in. We're going to get to a point where nobody is going to give up their gold or their silver. These countries are not going to give it up. So you're going to be responsible for you. Put it in a safe place. Putting it back in the system, I believe, is a huge mistake.
But then that's one of the advantages of Bitcoin, because now you are your own central bank with your Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. You have total control. When you have a dollar, it's actually a Federal Reserve debt note, which means that somebody owes in order for that dollar to be worth something.
Right.
With your Bitcoin, just like with your gold and silver, it is inherently
Is there a third-party risk with Bitcoin?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it could be hacked in some way.
Now, with gold and silver, there is no third-party risk. Remember that. There is no third-party risk. It's never been worth zero. It doesn't matter if the electricity's on, the lights are on, off, whatever. It doesn't matter. Anywhere you go in the world, that gold or that silver can be converted into any currency or even a cryptocurrency. And this article right here, China will likely push the price of gold above $20,000. And this is on King World News. And they're talking about backing cryptos in China with gold. And this is very, very possible. And if America doesn't wake up, if we just keep printing to eternity, and we don't start backing this currency with something, China's going to beat us to the punch here, I believe. And as I'm reading more articles, Pelosi and Mnuchin speak for an hour, but don't reach an agreement today. So again, no more stimulus at this point. I don't know. Even if we get stimulus this year, can they get it out by the end of this year?
I think talking about the stimulus is just a carrot that is just going to keep people moving toward, but they're never going to reach it.
I think that they're actually using it to hype the markets a little bit too. That moved the markets up. President got out of the hospital, boom. We're going to have a cure for the infection, boom. Stimulus talks continue. We're getting closer. Everybody's talking, boom. All fake optimism. Again, I don't believe, who cares about the stimulus? You're going to get $1,200, $1,500. People are so far behind already. What is $1,200 or $1,500 going to do? I'm not going to turn it down, but for the average person, they're so far behind already that they're beyond help. And for millions of people, it's already too late to prepare for this collapse. The collapse has begun. What do you think?
The collapse has already begun. It's just that the ripple effect is taking time in order to reach the depths of the actual population.
Right. It's just a slow death. And we have that pyramid at the very top, and they're getting that free money at the very top, and they're able to be in these markets, take huge risk, and many of these 1% are laughing all the way to the bank, but that money's not trickling down. We see all these businesses struggling, small, medium business being decimated by big business. It is just like smoking the competition. And the little guy and the medium business owner is just being annihilated. While all the big boys, all the big corporations, the airlines, the big banks, and what have you are doing incredibly well. These CEOs making tens of millions of dollars. While we see street people all over the place here, we see business owners gone, people crying with everything they've lost. And you see this every day because you work right here.
Yes, and that's why we can't look at investing the same way that we have in the past. In the past, you could make a very safe investment and be able to rely on still making 8, 10, 12%.
Right.
Now, forget it. Now it's speculation.
Now a lot of people are at the casino, at the roulette table, and it's a big gamble. People now gambling their retirements, gambling their savings, gambling their futures because you can earn basically 0% interest on your money, and it's forcing people to gamble, and it's a very dangerous time. And this is why I think it's so imperative that you have assets, because this dollar, the US dollar, is going to come under enormous pressure. It's buying less and less. I cannot repeat that enough. It's going to buy less next year. With the money that we've already printed this year and the money we're going to have to print next year, look, we're literally looking at $4 million a year just to service the $27 trillion of US debt, okay? $4 trillion. We are never gonna pay this off. It's absolutely impossible. We now are at a point where we just print money and hope for the best. But the day of reckoning is going to come to America and the world, and it's gonna be a very, very scary time. No matter how much gold or silver or Bitcoin you have, it's gonna be a very, very scary time.
Yeah, so now is the time. Even though the things are already starting to fall apart, now is the time.
Look, let's talk about jobs. You know, I did a video at the Westfield Mall across the street. We see what's happening right here. Many jobs are not coming back to America. And then when you take into account robotics, technology, that's going to be replacing this, foreign workers, it's going to get harder and harder for the average American to find a job, especially a job that actually pays well.
Yeah, I have a friend, he works at our local hospital here, Desert Regional, and his job has been replaced by people in India.
Okay, so here's what you have to look forward to. You're going to be competing against a collapsing economy, foreign workers, and robotics, and that's just a fact. And I know that this is going to trigger some people, and I'm here to trigger you. This is what I'm going to do for you today. I'm going to trigger you. This is real life, and we're making these videos, and thanks, Dr. Anthony, for coming on today, because you're bringing some reality to people. But there's a lot of people that get triggered, and these are the people that are so unprepared, so scared, and so paranoid. And I pray for these people, instead of being triggered, instead of judging me and criticizing me, I wish they would just wake up. I wish they would get some assets. I wish they would have some cash reserves. And if they couldn't do that, at least I wish they would be awake and actually look at reality for what it is, and not live in denial.
They need to, because the only person who can really save you is yourself.
Denial will get you killed. Denial is going to guarantee that you lose during this collapse. The people who are awake, who are thinking for themselves, who are looking at all the warning signs, all the red flags, they see all the vacant buildings, they see all the street people walking around, they see that things are turning into a ghost town, they see the massive debt and deficits, and they understand the repercussions of all this. They see what comes next. Look, I'm not the brightest guy in the world, but I can connect a couple dots and figure out where this is all going. Look, gold's not over $1,900 today for no reason, okay? Still extremely cheap. Silver, extremely cheap. There is no excuse for anybody out there watching this on their $1,200 iPhone or their $5,000 Mac or their $2,000 big screen Samsung. There's no excuse that you can't go out and buy a little bit of silver at $23, $24.50 I think it was today, wherever it was, $24. So, you know, cancel a couple days at Starbucks and get yourself a solid asset. A little bit is a lot better than having nothing. And if you're not prepared, it's going to be it's too late for so many people, but I'm not trying to stop anybody from starting to prepare right now today. If you have the means, the resources, a job, get on it right now. You are so far behind.
It's never really too late, because even at the last moment, there's going to be opportunities. Yeah.
And if you don't have a lot of debt, if you have a few bucks put away, you are going to be able to capitalize on these opportunities. Now, if you have assets and you have cash reserves and you don't have debt, you're going to do very, very well. A lot of people, I believe, are going to prosper at the worst times. I think wealth is going to be really created at the worst possible times.
Those that are prepared, those that saw it coming, even if you're a day ahead, of the collapse.
So a couple articles I was reading today on CNBC. Regal Cinemas is going to be closing all U.S. theaters temporarily. Then we have AMC. Will run out of liquidity within 6 months. Another one at CNBC. Business leaders call for urgent reforms as global economy faces its worst state in a century. This isn't just a U.S. problem. This is global, and this is why this is more dangerous than 1929. This is more dangerous than 2008. This is a complete global collapse. Everything is connected. All the banks, all the financial institutions are all connected. If a Deutsche Bank blows up tonight, all of us tomorrow are in very big trouble. If a bank Here in America blows up, Europe's in big trouble. We're all connected. What do you think about what's happening worldwide?
You know what it is, especially looking at, okay, these companies, these theaters, what it is they can't pivot. They don't have a plan B. There's nothing else that they can do with their real estate. That's their problem. And that's the same problem that all of the businesses have. If you can't pivot, if you couldn't turn your dine-in restaurant into a takeout restaurant, then you weren't able to pivot.
You make a very good point. Rob Kiyosaki always says you got to be small right now. You got to be versatile. You got to be able to turn with this economy quick. If you're weighted down, if you're too big, too heavy, too much debt, if you cannot evolve with what is happening, you will get decimated.
If you only have one trick, then forget it.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a time to be small, versatile, fast, little debt. Be ready to pivot because things are going to be changing very fast. There was an article on wolfstreet.com today. I want to share this with you. I'll paraphrase through it really quick. What's behind the Fed's project to send free money to people directly? The Fed wants to avoid negative rates, so their idea is to just send money to people. This isn't going to be stimulus where the government borrows the money. Instead, it's sent directly from the Fed to consumers. The trillions of dollars in asset purchases have not been successful in shifting funds to a majority of households where it's needed, mostly in the recession. Consumer spending is 70% of the U.S. economy. This will allow Americans to spend like crazy. If the Fed now is just going to inject money into people's bank accounts.
You know what they'll do? They're going to send you a Visa card. That way you can't withdraw the money from it.
Right.
That way you can't just take the cash out.
Right.
They're going to give it to you in a way that you have to spend it. That's what they're going to do.
Very interesting. And so what's really crazy is 70% of this economy is based on consumer spending. And that's consumer spending with money they don't have. And this scares me to death because when we look at how powerful China's getting, and we have an economy based on consumption where people don't even have the money to consume, they're spending money they don't have. Just like in this situation that could come to fruition where the Fed just starts pumping money into people's bank accounts. Now, what do you think that's going to do for inflation?
Well, since everybody has money, everybody gets whatever they want, and then the supply goes down, and then price goes up.
So it's going to get a lot more expensive with all this money chasing goods and services. You talk about debasing a currency. This would be doing it on steroids. Another article on Wolf Street. Commercial real estate office sector crushed by work from home tsunami of supply in third quarter. Manhattan, San Francisco, Houston, Chicago, Los Angeles, etc.
But the work from home is not here. The work from home is now people in India who are willing to work for $5.
Now, another question is, what happens to all those surrounding restaurants, bars, barbershops, hair salons, retailers when all those people don't show up at the office buildings? And then what happens to those mortgages on those office buildings? More vacant real estate coming. Here's one on Bloomberg, and I want to get your opinion on this. Las Vegas tops U.S. in rise of apartment tenants not paying rent.
Well, that doesn't last long, because after a while they're going to have to end this moratorium, and then what?
Then what?
Yeah.
Then we have a tsunami of homeless people. We've got a moratorium on mortgages. About 5 million mortgages in moratorium, and then we've got a rent moratorium, which is in the tens of millions of people. And so this is literally a powder keg ready to blow up. But get this, in September, 10.6% of Vegas tenants missed a rent payment, up from 4.1% a year earlier. New Orleans had the highest share of people not paying rent at 12.9%, up from 8.6%. Other cities, and this was really fascinating, other cities where there were large jumps of people not paying their rent: Los Angeles, Portland, Seattle, New York, Nashville. Irvine, California made the top 50 list. I couldn't believe that. Irvine in Orange County. So, when you start seeing this happening in a city like Irvine, and New York is a story on its own, a complete nightmare of what's happening.
That's why I stack, because I believe that when this collapse happens, when all of these people are forced to move out, when all of those landlords are forced to foreclose, that's the time to sell the silver. That's the time to buy a new house.
Yeah, there's going to be huge sales coming in real estate, and I do see assets like gold and silver skyrocketing, and we're going to see other assets like real estate, commercial, and housing collapsing. And so the buying power that you're going to have, and even maybe Bitcoin, right? There are going to be certain asset classes that explode and others that collapse. And I believe that we're seeing commercial real estate doing that right now. But it is inevitable with what is happening that the housing market is going to stay up. And we know that they're including these refis as home sales. So I just cannot understand when we have 40, 50 million people out of work and they're trying to shove this fake propaganda that we're seeing a housing boom take place, that everybody's selling their house in LA and New York and moving to the suburbs. But who's buying the house in LA? Who's buying the house in these cities in order for those people to move? If you're in Chicago, who's buying your house in Chicago right now in order for you to move? So I mean, yes, there's money out there. Of course, there are people that can afford to do it. But then how do you find a job when you move? If you move out of another state, you got to have a job, right? Another quick question I have, maybe you can answer this, is when these moratoriums do end in mortgages, in rent, also auto loans. There's also a moratorium in auto loans. I think 3 million auto payments are in a moratorium right now. What happens when these people can't pay it and their credit is decimated? We're going to have millions of people who aren't going to be able to rent a Cracker Jack box because their credit will be absolutely decimated after what takes place here in the next 6 to 12 months.
Unless they can pay a 25% interest, unless they can pay at least 10%
Right,
interest.
and if you don't have a job, the average medium income now in America is $34,000. You're not renting anything out here for under $2,000. These apartments over here, 2 bedroom, 2 bath, probably $1,800, and they're old. You go into Orange County, that same apartment's $2,500. You go into LA, it's $2,500. San Diego, it's $2,500. We're just going to see 4 families living in a 2-bedroom apartment, I guess, and that's where we're going. Another article. A grocer says if people knew how bad the food shortages are, they would be freaking out. This comes from, I'll read this to you really quick. A store director for Kroger told a family member, it said that it usually takes an hour to order stock, but now she spends 6 hours every day ordering stock. She said many suppliers are unable to fill orders because they have no inventory. She says if people knew this, they would be freaking out.
Wow. Yeah, I think that there's so many things underlying that are just behind the veil that we don't see happening. Everything looks fine on the outside.
Yeah, I mean, this looks great, right? With the stores, the windows are all lit up,
Yeah.
there's cars driving around, but unfortunately about 25% of the stores are gone. And the restaurants here, 25% capacity, so there's like 6 people in a restaurant. It's a joke. If these restaurants are not operating at 100%, if the gyms are not operating at 100%, you just cannot stay in business. You've got to be operating at 125%. Why even bother opening?
Yeah, it's got to cost more to run the AC.
Right. Like if you could only do 25% of your business right now, you just say see you later.
Yeah. I would just go somewhere else.
I want to go over one last article with you, and it's regarding food. And here we are in America, the so-called richest nation in the world, and we are seeing homeless everywhere, food banks popping up, food lines everywhere. Here's an article on The Hedge today. Hawaii Food Bank sees stunning increase in meals served. High unemployment and a collapsed tourism industry are plaguing the island. And in this article, it says the recession is hitting Hawaii and many other places extremely hard. Hawaii Food Basket, one of the island's top food banks, has seen its services rise extensively, now serving up to 80,000 people a month. Last September, 2019, that number was 19,000. Now it's 80,000. We're seeing unemployment skyrocketing. In fact, we don't even know what the real unemployment numbers are. They're over 40 million, that's for sure. They can tell you it's 7.9%. They can tell you it's 2%. Nobody even believes it anymore. Food shortages, food banks, food lines, what is going on?
Everything is happening really slow. So they're turning up the heat on the frog in the pot really slow. So he's sitting there happy, feeling warm and balmy, but it's slowly boiling him to death.
And yeah, we're just seeing things slowly, the malls, the outdoor shopping, the restaurants, the resorts, nothing looks normal at this point. It is like a slow death, like a suffocation, just choking out the victim, which seems to be small business and medium business. Let me ask you this. You're a small business owner, you're a smart guy. Tell me 4 things the average person should do right now to prepare. It's already begun, right? You would say we're in a collapse right now.
Definitely. The collapse has already started.
It's already started.
A slow slide at this point before.
And then the bottom falls out.
Yes.
So I believe, like you, it's going to just continue to be slow. We'll wake up one day and then everything implodes. So the market's going to crash. We're going to see big problems with the dollar, and then things accelerate so fast that you're either prepared or you're not. There's no do-overs. There's no going back. You either have it or you don't have it. And that's, I think, what's going to happen. But what are 4 things you would tell these people right now, tonight, you would do?
You know, the first thing is make sure that you're right with God.
Yeah.
Because if you're not walking a good path, you're going to be covering up your dark sides, your things that you know you shouldn't be doing. And that's going to give you a big vulnerability that's going to be something that bites you in the back later. So first of all, be doing good. Be right. When everything is right, then you move on to your preps. So your mentality needs to be right. Need to have a good attitude. You need to be ready for that collapse. You need to be ready for...
So my question is, how do you be ready? Give me 4 things. Walking close to God.
Yes.
3 other things right now everybody could do to be ready for this. And I think one of them we did
Financial.
yesterday.
Easy.
Okay.
Yeah. Like get your finances good.
Right.
Be training. Get your body good. Be optimized and aligned.
Right. It doesn't cost much to get your body in shape. Just get, go for a run. Start eating a little cleaner.
Anybody can do that.
Anybody can do that. It costs nothing to walk closer to God. Silver, extremely cheap right now. There's things you can do right now. You could put away, the lattes at Starbucks. Maybe you can cut out going out to dinner. Maybe you cut out that weekend trip to the beach. You got to make a sacrifice right now. It's never been so important, ladies and gentlemen, to really cut some things out. And you may have to cut some people out along the way.
Yep. And then when your health is good, your spirituality is good, you want to be making sure your finances are good. I don't know, I can't think of what's the other, whatever.
Well, I mean, that's great advice right there, because, I mean, if you're walking close to God and you got your debts paid down, you got a cash reserve, you're much better off than 99% of the people out there right now. Me, it's God first, then security, food and water, and once you have that, then start looking financially at some gold, some silver, maybe some cryptos. I'm really getting now very interested in mining stocks. I think that they're a gamble, but if you pick the right ones, I think that the upswing is going to be incredible, because I don't see the metals going away, especially gold. So that's where I'm at. But look, we don't have all the answers. I know I don't have all the answers, but you've got to start thinking for yourself. People will write me and go, "Oh, but you're not telling me what to do." Look, I'm explaining to you what I'm doing, and I read the comments and I see what thousands of people are doing. And thank you so much for the comments, because they are eye-opening. They open up your mind. There are so many smart people out there that really have some great ideas about preparation. If you really want to get some really eye-opening ideas, read the comments, because there's people down there in those comments that are much smarter than me, and they are very knowledgeable. But at the end of the day, you've got to start thinking for yourself independently what you can do for you. You may be in a different situation than me. You might be in a different situation than the doctor. Everybody has a different income, different amount of savings, different amount of debt, different area of the country. You may be in an area that's doing very, very well right now. So everything is different. But you've got to start thinking for you. You've got to start asking yourself the question, what can I do to make myself better? What can I do to prepare for this collapse that has already begun? And if you're thinking about that right now, you're already late to the party. You better start really thinking and getting ready.
Now is the time. This is the time. There is no time like today, and when it's too late, it's too late.
So I think we'll leave it right there. And we're going to reach that point where it is too late. And I really pray for the people out there that you're doing everything in your power to prepare, because remember, there are going to be so many people hurt by this, not just financially, but spiritually, physically. And there's going to be people with money that are going to be destroyed through this too. It's going to destroy everybody that is not prepared for this. And there may be people very wealthy right now in these markets, but if they're not diversified also, they're just sitting on paper, they're going to be vaporized along with everybody else. So whether you're rich, poor, somewhere in between, you must be your own central bank. You must have access to assets and cash. Do not leave it in these financial institutions. Do not put your trust in the system. The system is what caused all this. The banks is the reason we're where we're at right now. Decades and decades of money printing with the Fed and these corrupt banks and all these financial institutions. Remember, it's the 1% that ran all this up, and it's going to be the 99% that pay the price for all this. And I don't want you to be in that 99%. Start thinking like the 1%. Start thinking like a central bank. Start thinking about protecting your wealth, your future, and your family. If you don't do it now, when this hits, you're going to cry when you see what happens to your family. You're going to cry when they take your house, your bank account, destroy your credit, destroy your business. I don't want to see anybody go through this kind of pain and suffering. We're seeing it already. Don't be one of the casualties of this. Don't be a statistic to this event, because it is going to be brutal. It's going to break people, destroy people. You're going to see people committing suicide, people just addicted to drugs, pharmaceuticals, heart attacks, disease, depression, anxiety. Stress is a killer, and you're going to see so much stress in the world, and it's going to be mainly people who laughed at this, didn't believe it, denied it, avoided it.
And you can't rely on the government. There's not going to be a big brother to come and save you. You are the only one who can save yourself. When they come and offer you a solution, it's going to be, if the governments continue to be corrupt as they've been in the past, it's going to be something that serves them. It's going to be something that serves a different interest. It's nobody else is looking out for your interests like you can.
So at the end of the day, don't blame everybody else. Don't blame the institutions, the banks, the government. You need to look in the mirror right now at yourself. That's who you're going to land up blaming, because you've been warned. God bless every one of you. Have a phenomenal evening. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you very soon.